Okay, I have another video game anniversary immediately after I just put up Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. But this time is on a Super Nintendo game, Yoshi's Island, or Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. It turned 30 years old this year. Now, if you guys know, if you've been on the channel or just got started, this game was like one of the first video games I ever saw. The other one was NBA Jam, which I already covered its video before. But now it's time for Yoshi's Island to get its own video in honor of its 30th anniversary. A Magic Koopa Kamek attacks a stork delivering babies, where the enemy kidnaps one of the baby brothers, baby Luigi. Baby Mario falls out of the sky and lands on the back of Yoshi. The rest of the Yoshis relay Baby Mario across the island to rescue his brother from Kamek. And you probably know where this is going to go, but I'll talk about the ending in a second. So, as you guys know, Yoshi's Island was like one of the last games during the Super Nintendo's life cycle. And the reason why is because the following year, 1996, is when the new system, Nintendo 64, was coming out. And I will say, Yoshi's Island coming out in 1995 was an interesting choice. I was about almost 7 months when this game came out, and my brother didn't get the game until later on. And I want to say that this bundle was the one that came with Yoshi's Island game, and the second model was the one he had, not the original Super Nintendo model. But yeah, as I stated in my 30th birthday video, that this is one of the first video games I ever saw. That opening was the one I remember a lot when the game popped it in. That lullaby music was screaming childhood into my head. Now, when did I start playing the game for the first time? Well, the game did port it to Game Boy Advance, which I sadly didn't own a copy. So, the first time I played it was on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Yep, it was on there, and right away, I knew I was going to love this game. No, seriously, this game belongs in my favorites list. The gameplay is still great, as always, from a platformer, and totally different than any of the 2D Mario games. We know Baby Mario can't move because he's a baby, and it makes Yoshi more playable. Totally opposite of Super Mario World, where Mario rides on Yoshi, but in this, it's Yoshi riding Baby Mario. The goal in each level is very different than the other Super Mario games. In this, you have to get 5 flowers, 30 stars, and 20 red coins, which that's a nice task, and will tell you how much high score you get, which takes 100 points in one level. During the world, you visit 2 castles with 2 boss battles, a small boss and a big boss. Since it is the first game to star Yoshi, Yoshi does eat enemies like he did in Mario World, but after that, he poops them out into eggs.
That's disgusting.
The eggs are useful to throw enemies and objects, in which it is useful. Yoshi does have transformations in the game, like turning into a helicopter, a mole, a car, a submarine, and a train. Those transformations are pretty creative. There's a couple that are not transformation. One is Yoshi skiing the icy mountains, which is a fun level, and Baby Mario getting its own spotlight. Yes, Baby Mario is playable. But yeah, love the gameplay. Now I gotta talk about the graphics, because this is one of the great things about it. We all know Super Mario World's graphics are great by 16-bit standards, but Yoshi's Island is a bit different. They use a marker-drawn art style by scanning hand-drawn pictures and approximating them pixel by pixel. Some special effects were powered by a new Super FX2 microchip, in which early on they used in games such as Star Fox. And I will say, these graphics look great, but I think the Donkey Kong Country games have better graphics because of the pre-rendered ones. The music in the game are really great. While it does have repeats during the levels, they are very upbeat, especially the opening I just talked about. Of course, the most famous music in this game is the athletic one. I love that music so much. I also like the map music going from standard at the beginning and by adding additional beats during the worlds. Now, what about the difficulty? The game is pretty challenging, but it's not one of the hardest games, and it's especially not as hard as like Donkey Kong Country. When Yoshi gets hit at an enemy, Baby Mario starts crying, and you gotta give him back before a few seconds. What happens when you don't get him? Well, Kamek's enemies will appear and steal him. There's also losing life when Yoshi falls or gets hit by something. But yeah, The game is a quick breeze to make through the worlds. Though I really like this level where these fuzzy creatures touch Yoshi and goes all trippy. Now let's get to the bosses. Some of them are pretty easy to take it out. And then the final battle with Baby Bowser. Yeah, because Bowser Jr. didn't exist. Thankfully the final battle is not that hard. After that you save the Stork and Baby Luigi and the two are reunited. Overall, this game is still one of my favorite video games, and definitely the most nostalgic out of any video games on my list, if it wasn't for my brother and the Super Nintendo system. I'm glad I beat the whole game in over 20 years. Yoshi's Island will later make more games. It will later port into Game Boy Advance, which I was close getting that version. Then there's Yoshi's Island on DS, and even Yoshi's New Island on the 3DS, sequels to the original game. And then the original game appeared on the Switch Online service, though people are wondering why this game is called Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Well, it's mainly for marketing purposes to capitalize on the popularity of Super Mario World, and likely it's more of a prequel, and then Yoshi's signature characteristics established the Yoshi series. So we gotta thank Yoshi's Island for that. But yeah, I'll never forget the memories of remembering the game for the first time, and then years later, I would go through the whole game. That is all for my review of Yoshi's Island. Happy 30 years, and Mario has his big anniversary coming. I will see you all for that video. See you all later.